Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have another great show for you today, but not from the Crime Talk studios. We are coming from a hotel in Copenhagen, Denmark. That's right. We're going international. So first on the docket, if Dr. Craig didn't poison his wife, who did? And if a gag order is lifted in the Bryan Kohberger matter, what secrets are we going to find out? Ghislaine Maxwell, well, now she wants to talk. There'll be round two for the case against Raul Valle. We have this day in legal history. Our legal quote transitions wonderfully into our dumb criminal of the day. And, well, we've got the dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reisch, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, and hit that little bell for notifications. And yes, you can check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Now, before we get started, let me remind you to go to crimetalksearch.com. If you want to do research on anybody here in the United States, guess what? You need to go to crimetalksearch.com. When you sign up for that background subscription, you will be able to do as many background searches on anyone in the United States as you desire. And what does that mean? You're going to be able to get information about phone numbers, email addresses, social media presence. You're going to find out if they own property. Are they married? Are they divorced? Do they have liens or judgments against them? You are going to find out everything you want to know and then some. And sometimes things maybe you didn't want to know, but it's for the best. So go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up today. You're going to be happy that you did. All right. As I mentioned in the intro, we are coming to you from Copenhagen, Denmark today. That's right. Yesterday afternoon, we got on a plane, flew into Frankfurt, then a little Frankfurt into Copenhagen, and bam, here we are. Going to spend a couple of days here in Denmark and Sweden. So it'll be fun. We'll try to bring you some cool pics. Right now it's the time change. We've got about 4 hours of sleep on the plane, and that's about it, trying to stay up and get adjusted to the time change. What I don't like about it is that, like if you go to Hawaii when you're in Colorado, by the time, it's 10, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, the day is done. Here, the day's just getting started when you're trying to settle in. So because work still goes on. So let's go ahead and open the record for Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. And first on the docket today, that's right, the case of James Craig, the dentist accused of killing his wife and then trying to kill the lead detective on the case. Sometimes we all can have a bad day, I guess. Buckle up, folks, because the trial of James Craig, a former Aurora dentist accused of turning his wife, Angela, into a tragic chemistry experiment, is serving drama hotter than a Colorado summer. Now, testimony kicked off Tuesday, and let's just say it was a wild ride. Everyone agreed Angela Craig was poisoned. Cyanide and a dash of Visine, no less, like some diabolical cocktail. But how it got into her system? That's right. That's the question. That's where the plot thickens faster than a poorly mixed protein shake. Prosecutors are pointing the finger squarely at James, the doctor, alleging he played mad scientist, slipping poison into Angela's system bit by bit with a grand finale dose of cyanide while she was fighting for her life in the hospital. Craig didn't waltz into the room to play hero, according to the assistant district attorney Ryan Brackley, as he told the jury in opening, with the gravitas of a true crime narrator. He was there to finish the job, deliberately, intentionally, with a side of cold-hearted cyanide. Now, Angela passed away on March 18th of 2023 after a mysterious illness left doctors scratching their heads. Now, even before her death, James' business partner at Summerbrook Dental Group was raising some red flags, whispering to nurses that poison might be the culprit. An autopsy later confirmed Angela had enough cyanide and Visine ingredients in her to make her toxicologist wince. But hold the phone. James' defense team has a different script. They paint Angela as a very broken person, a stay-at-home mom, juggling isolation, a cheating husband, and a knack for keeping up appearances. And according to defense attorney Ashley Witten, Angela was the one ordering the poison, allegedly because she was suicidal and craving attention. She wasn't spilling her marital tea to the neighbors, his defense attorney told the jury. No, suggesting Angela was more likely to bottle up her struggles than broadcast them. Meanwhile, prosecutors are out here waving Angela's day planner like it's Exhibit A. She had plans. She was making plans to live, Brackley declared, countering the defense narratives with the fervor of a motivational speaker. They've also laid out a juicy timeline of James' extracurricular activities, from sugar daddy website to a steamy emotional affair with another dentist. Add in some financial woes, and prosecutors say James saw Angela as a problem to be solved permanently so he could skip off into the sunset with his mistress. The defense, however, is like, yeah, James was a lousy husband, but that's not a crime. Whittam urged the jury to focus on the evidence, not their feelings about James' wandering heart or the family's shaky bank account, which they claim Angela helped drain with her spending sprees. Oh, but it gets better. Murder's just the headliner. James faces 5 extra felony counts for some jailhouse shenanigans that even his lawyers admit were not so great. Prosecutors, with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer, say he tried to rope one of his kids into planting evidence and sweet-talked fellow inmates into faking testimony. And if convicted of first-degree murder, he's looking at life behind bars without a chance of getting out ever. So on Tuesday, jurors got an earful from doctors and nurses who treated Angela in her final days. They testified she firmly denied any suicidal thoughts, leaving the medical team stumped as test after test came back normal. And without a reason to check for poison, they didn't know they were dealing with a case straight out of a murder mystery novel. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. This trial's got more twists than a dental drill. Now, we put the opening statements up for you, so if you want to watch them yourself, you can do so. It looks like the judge is going to allow piecemeal to come up and piecemeal the video of the trial. And as we are able to get it, we'll get it to you as well. Next, Bryan Kohberger. That's right. The old Papa Rogers issue comes back again. And will that gag order, if it's lifted, unmask the mystery? So a shadowy Facebook figure dubbed Papa Roger popped up in late 2022, haunting an Idaho student murder discussion group with cryptic posts, only to vanish like a ghost when Bryan Kohberger was arrested on December 30th. Coincidence? Well, the internet's got its theories, and the looming end of a gag order might just let us know what's really going on. Now, the digital phantom surfaced in a Facebook group hell-bent on justice for the University of Idaho students that were killed: Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalve, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Now, sporting a profile pic of a guy in a retro military getup, eerily Kohberger-esque, some say, Papa Rogers dropped posts about a knife sheath before cops confirmed one was found at the scene. Interesting, right? Well, no official word ties Kohberger to this account, but with the gag order about to take a hike, we might get some answers. Think unsealed warrants, juicy discovery disclosures, or digital breadcrumbs from Bryan Kohberger's devices. At the very least, we might see warrant requests for social media accounts. We're going to have to wait and see. This could be big. Now, court records show cops went fishing at Amazon, Google, and Meta, but what they reeled in remains a mystery. Now, Papa Rogers' posts, now mostly wiped from the web, include eerie specifics like predicting a knife sheath on November 30th of 2022. He didn't say a sheath, he said a sheath, said Christine Cameron, a group admin, raising an eyebrow. The account also shared diagrams of the crime scene, claiming to pinpoint the victims' bodies. Spoiler, prosecutors later said those were off, with Ethan Chapin killed in Xana's room, not the living room as Papa Rogers claimed. And then on December 22nd, the account boldly declared the killer wasn't in the victim's circle or a student. Nailed it. Kohberger, a Washington State University grad student, wasn't buddies with the victims. Now, but by January 5th of 2023, the account's posts were wiped from Facebook after some heated exchange with Papa Rogers, taunting users to fight me and grading comments like a smug professor. Now, theories swirl that Kohberger himself was behind the account, especially since no one claimed it the 3 years that it's been locked up. Now, theories swirl that Kohberger himself was behind the account, especially since no one's claimed it in the 3 years since he's been locked up. Now, we could speculate that Papa Rogers is Bryan Kohberger, who's obviously, who wouldn't think so if he'd been following the case. Adding fuel, there's a new book by James Patterson and Vicky Ward, and it draws parallels between Kohberger and Elliot Rogers, the 2014 UC Santa Barbara killer. Both loners, both into the night drives and gun ranges, both failing at bar pickup lines. Rogers, an incel who ranted in a manifesto, targeted Greek life students like all of the Kohberger victims. Now, Kohberger, who's obviously pled guilty to the murders on July 1st, stayed mum on his motive, leaving some victims' families fuming. Unlike Roger, who ended his spree with suicide, Kohberger nearly pulled off the perfect crime until DNA from that pesky knife sheath led the FBI to him via genetic genealogy. 11 days later, he was cuffed. Now, his plea deal dodged the death penalty, setting him up for 4 life sentences plus 10 years at a July 23rd sentencing date. No appeals, no takebacks, no do-overs, no nothing. A hearing on lifting that gag order is set for tomorrow. Could it finally unmask Papa Rogers and a lot more mysteries? We're going to find out tomorrow. Next, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now she wants to talk. Family says she didn't get a fair trial. Well, look who's breaking their vow of silence. Ghislaine Maxwell's family has finally piped up, and they're not here to sing praises for the justice system. The kin of Jeffrey Epstein's former sidekick and is crying foul, claiming their dear Ghislaine did not receive a fair trial and is languishing behind bars because the United States government pulled a fast one on a promise. Oh, the drama. In their first public words since the FBI and the DOJ wrapped up the Epstein saga, the Maxwell family is itching to shake things up. They're gearing up to slap a writ of habeas corpus on the table, fancy legalese for demanding a judge take a second look at whether Ghislaine's 20-year timeout is legit. The family says our sister Ghislaine got a raw deal. Her siblings whined, adding that her legal eagles are ready to flap their wings all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. Now, the Maxwells are banking on this writ to spring their sister, claiming new evidence like the government shenanigans could have flipped the script at her trial. Her lawyer, David Oscar Marcus, chimed in with a zinger. I'd bet my law degree President Trump didn't know his team was begging the Supreme Court to let the government weasels out of a deal. The man's the king of deal making. He'd probably say, when Uncle Sam gives his word, he better keep it. Marcus didn't stop there, throwing shade at the system. With all the chatter about who's getting prosecuted and who's skating free, it's just not cricket that Ghislaine's still cooling her heels in the slammer over a broken promise. With all the chatter about who's getting prosecuted and who's skating free, it's just not fair that Ghislaine's still cooling her heels in the slammer over a broken promise. So grab your popcorn. This legal soap opera, it's just getting started. Now, prosecutors obviously are content with the verdict, and they don't want to disturb anything on appeal. And the matter is still, it's not going away. Let's just put it that way. It's not going away. She has resources. She has money. It's not going away. But I bet a lot of people will be interested to know if there really was a client list or if there wasn't a client list. And if there is a client list, who's on it? Now, I've talked to people somewhat close to this, and they said it's kind of a big nothing burger. But if it is, then the government should just release it anyway, and we'll just deal with it. And if somebody's name is actually on a list, I guess they can explain what involvement or interactions they had with Mr. Epstein, if at all. Maybe they just took a routine flight on his plane. Maybe they went somewhere else. But either way, just release it. Disclosure is the best way for the truth to come out and decide on what is taking place. Next on the docket, the prosecutors have refiled charges against Raul Valle after failing to secure a conviction on more serious charges stemming from a fatal fight at a house party back in May of 2022. Now, Valle, then 16, was involved in an incident that resulted in the death of a high school lacrosse star by the name of James McGrath from the stab wounds and injuries to 3 other teenagers who survived. During the trial, Valle testified in his own defense, and on July 9th, the jury acquitted him of the top charge of murder and assault, but was deadlocked on lesser charges. Prosecutors promptly filed an amended complaint charging Valle with first-degree reckless manslaughter, 2 counts of first-degree reckless manslaughter, and 1 count of second-degree reckless assault. A hearing date has not yet been scheduled. Next on the docket, let's talk about this day in legal history. On July 16th, 1787, at the Constitutional Convention, the Great Compromise was adopted, creating the United States bicameral legislature. On July 16th, 1790, Congress passed the Residence Act, designating a site along the Potomac River as the permanent U.S. capital, there in Washington, D.C. now. influencing federal law, enforcement, and judicial infrastructure. On July 16th, 1935, the United States Supreme Court issued Coker v. Georgia, ruling that the death penalty for rape was grossly disproportionate. On July 16th, 1973, Watergate hearings disclosed the existence of a White House taping system, pivotal in President Nixon's impeachment process that began. And our legal quote of the day: when you're young and dumb, you think the world's your playground, until the NYPD's drones remind you it's not. Which is a great segue into our dumb criminal of the day. Picture this, ladies and gentlemen. 4 thrill-seeking teens aged 12 through 16, treating a northbound 6 express train like their personal jungle gym, clambering up its side as it rumbles under the Westchester Avenue Bridge. Well, the NYPD drone footage snagged these individuals. It catches these daredevils in the act, striking poses, hopping around, and swinging their arms like they're auditioning for a blockbuster action flick. Now, the NYPD's high-tech drone team, out on their anti-subway surfing patrol, zoomed in on the action, snapping pics and relaying the boys' description to transit cops faster than you can say viral stunt. The train screeched to a halt at the Parkchester station in the Bronx, where the young adrenaline junkies were promptly nabbed. This wasn't just another day at the office for the drone team. These 4 made it to the 200th subway surfing bust since November of 2023. That's 200 lives potentially saved in just 20 months, according to the NYPD. And anyway, who needs Spider-Man when you've got the NYPD flying cameras keeping the rails safe? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you today. Tomorrow we'll come from Denmark. Hope you enjoyed the show. Have a wonderful day, and remember, the Constitution matters.